You tried all the ways to heal your people pleasing. You read the self-help books, you did the journaling, you went to therapy, you watched all the videos, and yet it keeps sneaking back. This video is for you. Maybe you keep overextending yourself, overanalyzing, overgiving, and it keeps sneaking back in again and again and again. You keep saying yes when you mean no. That's why today I decided to make a video on the 3 hidden reasons you still can't heal your people pleasing. And that's coming from an ex-people pleaser, from somebody who was such an overextender basically. If you're new here, hi, my name is Chrisana, basically a psychological life coach. If you've been here before, hi, welcome back. And yeah, let's get into the video. Reason number 1, and that might be a bit shocking to most people because we are in this age of so much information provided freely to us, and most people think what this is, but to my experience, most people don't realize that they don't know what it is, and that might trigger you. But I want you to know that sometimes it's really, really good to be triggered. So here it is. A lot of people think what boundaries are, but most of them don't know exactly what boundaries are. And that's because everybody keeps talking about this buzzword, boundaries, setting boundaries with other people and yada, yada, yada. And we think at this point that we know what boundaries are and how to set them and how to protect ourselves. But in reality, we don't really know. And I'm gonna tell you why. Most people don't know, and that was me 4 years ago too, because they think boundaries have to do everything with other people and nothing to do with themselves. So for example, let's say somebody has a friend. This friend keeps texting them at night past 10 p.m. And this person has set a goal for themselves to not be scrolling after 10 p.m. and not being on their phone. So instead of communicating clearly and kindly their boundary to their friend, they are being defensive about the boundary and they keep over explaining themselves. And that's not setting boundaries. Because the boundary starts within yourself. And that's why I use this specific example, because it's clearly starting with this person. This person has a boundary with themselves, firstly, not with the other person. They say, I want to stop doom scrolling, so I'm gonna stop being on my phone after 10 p.m. So that's a boundary with the self. If this person keeps being on their phone and then they get angry because they've been dragged by their friend and they keep messaging their friend, that's not their friend's mistake. It's their mistake, because this has to do with self-responsibility. So boundaries are firstly need to be set within ourselves and then with other people. Because if we go around and keep saying to everybody, oh, I need you to do this, I need you to stop doing this because I get triggered, or I need you to stop doing that because if you keep doing that, I cannot not being on my phone after 10 p.m. or anything like that. We are externalizing responsibility. We are transferring responsibility from ourselves for ourselves to other people. And that takes our power away. That perpetuates a cycle of blaming other people instead of taking full radical responsibility for ourselves. So if you don't know how to create inner authority, inner structures, inner systems within yourself first, you also cannot set boundaries with other people, because that's being communicated to other people. It's so subconscious and people can tell. It's energetic. People know when you cannot set boundaries with yourself, when you are easily manipulated. That's why a lot of people with narcissistic tendencies also find people who are people pleasers. They can smell that. Until you create inner authority with yourself, until you create structures within yourself, until you get to know yourself truly and keep those boundaries to yourself first, you're gonna keep perpetuating the same cycle of people pleasing and not being able to set boundaries with other people clearly. Because when you create boundaries with yourself, firstly, it's like a domino effect. When you start setting boundaries within yourself, everything externally will start taking its own course. It's gonna start flowing like a river. You're gonna start finding yourself setting boundaries so naturally with other people because you already did that with yourself so many times. So it's just a process of your inner boundaries being externalized kindly to other people. And that is so beautiful to see, actually. And when I say inner authority and inner structures, I don't mean to be rigid or controlling with yourself. That's why I say setting boundaries can be done kindly, not rigidly, not like in a defensive or controlling way. Because if you defend yourself, that's not actually a boundary, that's defending yourself. That's basically reacting to other people's reactions, and then this creates another type of cycle. And that's the key of this mistake. If you don't keep promises to yourself, you cannot create boundaries within yourself, and then you cannot set boundaries with other people. And that's the essence of this mistake. You need to learn to keep promises to yourself and not just saying you're gonna do things and then never doing them. And again, I don't mean to be rigid. There's a beautiful balance in life. There are also seasons in life. Sometimes you need to do what you need to do. Sometimes you need to grind. You need to focus on your children. Sometimes you need to pour into your art. Whatever it is, there are seasons for everything in life. That's not to be mistaken with being rigid. That's being focused. That's giving your attention to what you truly want and not being directed by external distractions at all times. That's power. It's basically taking your power back. And that's exactly why I say most people don't know how to set boundaries, because they are trying to set boundaries from a place of blaming. And that creates a loop. That's why the other person feels attacked and then they get defensive. And so what happens? You also get defensive. So it's a constant loop. Mistake number 2, you focus too much on external expectations and circumstances. And that's also tied to number 1 and actually to number 3. So that's why it's so important. And this is because you're trying to heal your people pleasing, but what you do, not about how you relate to yourself. So what do I mean by that? You keep overachieving, overperforming, and most importantly, tying your worth to what you can offer and give to other people. And now I'm not saying to not be a generous person. I'm not saying to not be yourself and not to give to other people and sit back and just receive. I'm saying that most people pleasers, this is what they do. They tie their worth to what they can give to other people, not thinking that they also get in relationships. I remember being in therapy and doing a lot of inner work 4 years ago in terms of people pleasing, and me realizing that I don't expect other people to give me anything in relationships. I cannot accept help. I cannot accept basically receiving affection or anything related to any relationship. And I'm not talking about only romantic relationships. So most people pleasers, they don't even consider that they also get things from relationships, that this is an exchange. And that's why I made a video about burnout, because a lot of people pleasing is tied to burnout and then becomes a cycle. If you're interested in knowing more about that, I'm gonna link it somewhere here. Basically, most people think that burnout comes from overworking, but the truth is that most burnout comes because of emotional overgiving, emotional overextending, and has nothing to do with resting in bed, physical rest. Yeah, people might need like even a week of rest in bed, but that's not gonna heal the emotional overextension. So if you relate with that, make sure to watch this video. You're gonna get so much out of it. The other important point is that when you give to other people from obligation instead of your authenticity, you expect maybe, and that happens subconsciously, so you don't even know that until you untangle the beliefs and unconscious loyalties that were created from your family dynamics. You are essentially expecting something, as I just said, and at the same time you are disconnecting from your true needs, your true self, your true desires. Basically, you are abandoning your whole authentic self, your whole authentic desires. And that's why you feel depleted after being with somebody, after being in a relationship, after being with a good friend. It's not that other people exhaust you. It's not that you are an introvert and you need to be by yourself at all times. It's because you are giving to other people by obligation. And when you do that, you are compromising and abandoning your true self. And that creates so much disconnection from yourself. And that's why I keep saying people pleasing is basically a survival strategy rooted in self-abandonment. If you want to know more about self-abandonment, I also made a video for this. I'm gonna link it here because it's incredibly important to know where it comes from. When we know where it comes from, when we have awareness of where people pleasing truly comes from, we can actually do something and heal it, because most of us don't even know where it comes from. For me, it took me so many years to realize that, even if I was studying psychology for so many years. So I want more people, and especially women, to know about that. So if you're interested in that, go watch this video. It's gonna help you so much. And basically in this cycle, you learn to sacrifice your truth for safety, because this is a false sense of safety. This is safety based on belonging, and all people want to belong. But I'm saying false sense of safety because usually when we become people pleasers as adults, it means that when we were children, it was ingrained in our subconscious that to be with others, to be loved by our caregivers, we needed to sacrifice something. We needed to not show our true needs. And that's why we learned that we can only belong to with other people within our communities if we sacrificed our true selves and our true needs. So it's so much more ingrained than we think. That's why it's not just a behavioral issue. It goes so much deeper. That's why it's so interconnected with attachment styles. Now, if you want me to talk more about attachment styles, please let me know, because this is a whole another conversation. Basically, you have to ingrain in your mind, in your subconscious mind, that you can have belonging without people pleasing. You can belong within communities, you can have relationships, romantic or not, without abandoning your needs. And that's such a big journey, because this wound is so interconnected with so many other wounds within our attachment styles. Because the root of people pleasing, it's like the octopus's tentacles quietly reaching every part of our lives. So it's so ingrained. And mistake number 3, it's about suppressing the emotions behind people pleasing instead of actually allowing them to be there, sitting with them and digesting them. So what we do when we people please, we usually avoid the discomfort behind it, right? We avoid the sadness, the grief, the anger, especially when we don't set boundaries within ourselves and then with other people. We have so much internalized anger, especially a lot of women, because we learned in the society that it's not ladylike to express anger. So it gets so internalized, and then the resentment comes into play. Also the fear of rejection. But because people pleasing, as I just mentioned, it's not just a behavioral issue. It's unprocessed emotions. It's a survival strategy rooted within our nervous system, and it's called fawn response. It's the way your body once protected you. It's the way your body created this strategy in order to basically keep you alive as a child. Because if you didn't suppress your true needs and your true emotions as a child, you would have to blame your parents. And to a child, blaming their parents, it's so unbearable. They basically cannot do that. The other survival protection was to truly survive, because if a child doesn't get their needs met at the cost of suppressing their underlying needs, they won't be able to get their physical needs met. So what do? Suppress their true needs in order to get other needs met. More external, like being fed, being hugged, and more of a physical needs, not emotional. The most important thing is that until you truly understand what's behind the people pleasing, until you truly investigate and understand in your body, not just mentally, the conditions that created the people pleasing, you will keep perpetuating the same cycle again and again and again, getting into relationships that drain you because you keep abandoning your true self and your true needs. Imagining like being in a house and keep neglecting the very room that nourishes you, the very room that keeps giving you, but you don't give it anything. You don't clean it, you don't decorate it, you don't tend to it, you keep neglecting it. That's exactly what you do with yourself, your true self. You keep abandoning it. Not just not tending to it, but actively rejecting it. Most people think that this is about willpower or motivation, when in reality it's about embodiment. It's about creating safety within your body firstly, and not just understanding your people pleasing mentally or conceptually. This will keep you stuck. Once you create emotional congruence, once you truly understand what's behind your people pleasing and create safety within your body, so your body can digest that information, that you can have belonging, because your body now registered that information, that love, acceptance, and belonging can come with being fully yourself, showing up fully as your true self and expressing yourself fully, and actually lead yourself instead of abandoning yourself, instead of neglecting and leaving yourself behind. In Metamorphosis, we don't shame or try to fix your people pleasing. We create safety, we get curious. We help you meet the part of yourself that taught you that you can only be worthy of relationships or being worthy in general by people pleasing. And we teach them that they no longer have to. They no longer have to associate being worthy with leaving themselves behind. That's exactly how you move from people pleasing to leading yourself, to self-leadership. That's exactly how you move from proving to presence, from survival to authentic connection, both within yourself and with other people. Remember, your worth doesn't have to be tied to how much you give to other people. Your worth is who you already are as you, as your true self. If you are ready to go deeper, leave people pleasing behind and start leading yourself with compassion, with curiosity, with openness, with so much understanding, not just mentally understanding, embodying your true self, Metamorphosis is the right program for you. If you're interested, I will leave the link down below. I'd love to have you there. If you have any questions, feel free to message me, email me. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got so much out of this video, and I will see you soon. Bye.